it's like we weren't even people. It was just they couldn't get over the interaction that we were having, and they were just mesmerized by it. I was surprised by the amount of negative or like honestly shocked faces. I thought there'd be more sort of silliness about it.
It made me feel like I wasn't welcome there. Like what I was doing was wrong, and it was so wrong that nobody even wanted to acknowledge that it was happening.
We were instantly unique from anyone else there, and even though no one was paying attention to us, you knew everyone was paying attention to us.
Okay, here's what we're gonna do. We're going to walk around Gateway. Trina and I are gonna hold hands. Jeff and Broden are gonna hold hands. And we're going to reflect on how we feel and the perceptions of like people around us. So when we first began walking, there was an elderly man, and his jaw just dropped and he just stared at us, just outwardly, almost stopped walking. And that was really interesting.
I had this preconceived notion that it was going to be really awkward, and it wasn't at all. I mean, it kind of was at first, like when we first filmed us holding hands, walking away. And but then after we dropped the camera off and came back, it was natural.
But I think when I was with Jeff, people weren't even giving me the opportunity to put myself out there or the opportunity to be friendly towards them.
It was a really interesting experience. Going into it, I thought that I was going to feel really awkward holding someone of the same sex's hand, even though it's Danielle and she's my good friend. But I ended up feeling kind of empowered, I think, because normally like if I'm walking around by myself and I feel someone looking at me, I feel very awkward about it and embarrassed. But this time when people would be looking, they wouldn't be looking at me, they'd just be looking at my hand.
Men had a generally more positive reaction than women, I think. As we were walking, men were usually just sort of, some of them, the younger ones especially, looked really amused. Or like, hey, nudge nudge to their friend. A lot of women looked down on us, or like kind of scoffing sort of looks, like maybe we were trying to attract guys, or this was some kind of flirting technique, I don't know.
Should that really, the fact that they're gay, should that really change my reaction as opposed to how I react to everybody else?
Yeah, I mean, it was hard to gauge people's reactions because they were more non-reactions than anything else. They were just intentionally looking away, or
When we were crossing the street, there were two gentlemen who were crossing the street on the opposite side, and we caught their attention and they started yelling from across the street like, hey sexy girls, hey beautiful girls, and then I think they saw that our hands were holding, and then they said, hey, is she your sister? And they were just yelling this all the way across the street at the Gateway with all of these other people around.
Like the reactions you were getting from men were making women jealous?
Sort of, because when you think about lesbians in society, like when girls think about guys thinking about lesbians, it's just like, yeah, lesbians!
Yeah, lesbians!
Because when I can say, speaking from personal experience, when I see two guys holding hands, my initial instinct is to immediately look away, immediately look away and kind of avoid bringing myself into emotionally investing in what's going on, or acknowledging that it's happening, you know.
Everyone's just so surprised by you. It was kind of, I can see how lesbian couples or even gay couples that could get a little tiring to always be a surprise to everybody.
Treating everyone absolutely equal isn't working, and rather than do that, embrace the differences that we have in order to kind of give everyone their own identity and their own kind of skill set and tool set to like excel.
When Katrina said that when she's walking by herself, and especially when she's dressed up, if she were to walk through Gateway by herself, she would feel very vulnerable, very like just lacking power, and she'd feel really self-conscious. And I agree. I think most girls kind of feel that too, and we kind of analyzed that, and we were thinking that the reason why was because when you're by yourself, you feel like a lot of men are looking at you, and they are the ones in control of the situation. So you feel like really vulnerable because you're sort of afraid of the men around you who are probably looking at you. And we both felt empowered when we were walking together because we felt like we were scaring the men, or like shocking the men more than they were able to shock us back. So that's probably where that sense came from. With heterosexual couples, like, you don't know how you really react. I think people suddenly are aware of how they're reacting, and so some of them try to not have a reaction, like with you guys, and some of them, I don't know, like try to react even more. It seems like something, like you're suddenly aware of yourself. Somehow seeing people who are different makes you more aware of yourself.
Do you think that if more people took it upon themselves to like go out and have this experience, that it would kind of change like the global idea of what it means to be in that situation?
I think people, especially people who want to know more, learn more about how other people think and feel all the time, sort of bridging an empathy gap, or people who just haven't even thought about it before. I would probably encourage most of my friends and just about any stranger to go do that and to think about it after, because I was so surprised, and I didn't think I would be. I thought I was very prepared for people's reactions, and I really wasn't.
You can't just run up and pet it. You have to make sure that it smells you first.
I'm not recording anything.
Who's a good puppy?
Who's a puppy dog?
Oh, you're a good puppy.
Yes, you are.
Yes.
Puppy. Hurrah! Hurrah!